So, so guys, let's discuss about condition parameter today. So in exact statement, we have this keyword parameter which is called condition. Now, condition parameter has multiple values, multiple types of values that we can give in condition parameter, which can be used to manipulate the handling of various steps in a JCL. So in a JCL, we have a maximum of 255 steps. That means in a JCL, we have we can execute a maximum of 255 programs. It can be a utility or that is system defined program, or it can be a Cobol program. So we can execute a maximum of 255 programs in a JCL. That means we can have a maximum of 255 exact statements. Now, if you have, so when you normally what happens is when you submit a JCL, when you try to execute a JCL, the execution goes sequentially. It will execute the first step, then it will go to the next step. After successful execution of the second step, it will go to the third step. After successful execution of third step, it will go to the fourth step. Whenever there is an event, there is a failure in any of the steps, the JCL will stop right there. It will not go further. That means it is not going to execute the next step. So the execution in JCL happens in a sequential manner. That is the property of JCL. Now, if you have a requirement, where there are 3 steps in a JCL. So step 1, we have to check whether the file has data or not. Step 2, execute a Cobol program with that file. Step 3, send the output file to downstream application. Okay, so whatever output file is generated out of step 2, that has to be sent to downstream application. Now, the thing is, in the first step, we have to check whether the input file has data or not, whether it's empty or it is data. So if it has data, then only we'll execute step 2 and step 3. If it does not have data, then we don't have to execute step 2 and step 3. We can bypass. Okay. So now this is the requirement that if step 1 has data, then step 2 and step 3 has to be executed. And if step 1 doesn't have data, step 2 and step 3 have to be bypassed. So that is the requirement. Now, so just imagine our JCL looks like this. Suppose I will just write job card. Then I'll write step 01, exec PGM. So in the first step, we have to check whether the file has data or not, right? So for that, the utility is ID comes. In second step, step 02, suppose I am executing the program, suppose PGM1, the name of the program is PGM1. In third step, suppose I'm sending the file to the client. The utility may be anything, okay? So just imagine this is the condition of the job. So now in case of ID camps, I think all of you already know how to check whether the file has record or not. So in sysint start, so the normal things that you will write, sysprint dd sysout, sysout dd sysout, dd sysout, sysprint dd sysout equal to star, sysout dd sysout equal to star. Then you have to write the file name. Suppose you give a dd name as dd1, dddsn equal to, suppose anything, suppose test dot input dot file, something. This is the name of your input file. This equal to share. Okay. Now you want to check whether this file has data or not. So for that, you have to write sysint dd star. Suppose you have to write print in file. This is a command within bracket the dd name dd1, print input, print in file dd name count of 1. That means you are asking the system to check this input file at whether at least one record is present in this input file or not. So this is called in-stream data, which we pass from our side to the JCL, to the program. So this utility has a lot of functionalities. Using IDCAMs, we can do a lot of things. But in this particular JCL, what specially we want to do with with this utility, that we are specially passing from our CCD star. So that is our in-stream data. So in this JSON, we want to check the data, whether the file has at least one data or not. So the property of this is, so maxCC will be 0 if the file has data. maxCC will be 4 if file is empty. So that is the property. So by the property of JCL, it will give this maxCC. So if this input file has data, it will give maxCC 0. If the input file is empty, it will give maxCC 4. Now we have to manipulate these two steps in such a way that if the maxCC is 0, we have to execute. If the maxCC is 4, we have to bypass. Now for that, as you already know, so condition parameter is what? It is a combination of three things: comparison code, relational operator, and return code of previously executed step, right? So this comparison code and relational operator will have to give from our side. As developers, we have to provide these values from our side. Return code obviously will come from the first step output. So now comparison code, we can give any value. You can give any value just to compare with the return code of this thing. How will you compare with, on what basis? On the basis of this relational operator. So as you know, we have 6 relational operators that we generally use. One is EQ, that is equal, one is not equal, one is less than equal, one is less than, one is greater than equal, one is greater than. So you have to provide such a value here. So if this condition, so this comparison code what you provide, when it compares with this return code of the previously executed step, on basis of this relational parameter operator what you provide, if that condition becomes true, then the step will be bypassed. If condition equal to true, then step is bypassed. That means it is not going to get executed. If condition equal to false, then step will be executed. Okay, so that is the condition. Now you have to provide such a value. Now since we know, so we have to provide such a condition which satisfies both these with both these maxes. Now just you have to think at that point, you have to think from your side what value you can give so that it is true when the maxis is 4, when it is false when the maxis is 0, right? Because for you to run the second step, the condition has to be false. Okay, the condition has to false, because condition false means the step will run, condition true means the step will not run. So just think, I will give this value 4 comma EQ comma step 01. So what will this condition do? Now if you check with the first maxis, so what will it become? So 4 comma EQ comma, if the first step, if the input file in the first step has records, that means it has at least one record in it, then the maxis will be 0. So the condition will become this 4 EQ 0. So that means you are trying to say that 4 is equal to this value, but it is not right. 4 is not equal to 0. You have given EQ, but it is not equal to 0. That means it's a false condition. So when it is a false condition, this step will run. So same thing you can give to the third step also. So this will be false, then it will run. So when the first step has the file, when the file has data, the maxis will be 0, and this condition will be false. These both the steps will be run. Will run. Sorry. Now, if you check with the next value, the condition will become like this: 4 EQ 4. That means you are trying to say that 4 is equal to this value. So it is true only, right? 4 is equal to 4. then this condition becomes true. So this will be bypassed. Both these steps will be bypassed. That means when input file does not have data, then maxCC will be 4. And with this condition, both the steps will be bypassed. When the input file has data, maxCC will be 0. Then with this condition, both the steps will be executed. So this is how condition parameter works. I hope you understood. Thank you.